The Antichrist, apparently, has a very pro-Israel foreign policy. There is a strange thing that happens when politics becomes religion. People stop arguing facts and start reciting liturgy. Trump is evil. Trump is destroying America. Trump hates Israel and the Jews. Don't try to change my mind. I won't listen. That last one is my favorite, mostly because it has the intellectual maturity of a toddler guarding a cookie. It is not an argument, it is a locked door pretending to be a conclusion. And I get it, I really do. I used to feel the same way. For most of my adult life, I saw the world through the lens handed to me by legacy media, progressive politics, and the Democratic Party. I did not think of it as a lens at the time. That is how lenses work. You do not notice them until you take them off and realize the room was never blue. Your glasses were. I was a lifelong Democratic voter. I believed the moral people were on the left. I believed the people who spoke the language of compassion, tolerance, diversity, and justice must actually mean those things. Then October 7 happened, and suddenly a whole lot of people who had spent years lecturing the rest of us about trauma, oppression, marginalized communities, and believing victims developed an advanced case of moral laryngitis. Jews were massacred, women were raped, children were burned, hostages were dragged into tunnels. And the world's professional empathy class cleared its throat and said, well, context. Context, the word every coward reaches for when moral clarity would cost them dinner invitations. That was the moment many Jews woke up, not all at once, not neatly, not comfortably, but something cracked. We saw who showed up, who stayed silent, who made excuses, and who found a way to blame dead Jews for the inconvenience of being murdered. And for some of us, another uncomfortable realization followed. Maybe the political tribe we trusted was not the moral fortress we thought it was. Maybe it was just a very expensive theater set. Now, let me be clear, because people love pretending not to understand things. You do not have to like Trump. You do not have to like his personality. You do not have to enjoy the chaos, the tweets, the insults, the orange glow, the hair architecture, or the general feeling that every press conference might suddenly turn into a WWE promo. Fine, criticize him, mock him, vote against him. This is America. Complaining about presidents is one of our most sacred civic traditions, right after overpaying for coffee and pretending the middle seat on an airplane is survivable. But Trump is evil is not analysis. Trump hates Israel and the Jews is not history. And Trump is the Antichrist is especially hilarious when said by a Jew. A Jew told me that. The Antichrist. Wrong franchise, my brother in Sinai. That is not political disagreement. That is Trump derangement syndrome with a side of theological confusion. We have enough problems without importing Christian end times vocabulary like it came free with a tote bag from MSNBC. Here is the part nobody wants to say out loud. By any serious historical measure, Trump is one of the most pro Israel presidents in American history. He recognized Jerusalem as Israel's capital and moved the American embassy there. Presidents had promised this for decades and then found reasons to delay when the bill came due. He recognized Israeli sovereignty over the Golan Heights. His administration helped broker the Abraham Accords, normalizing relations between Israel and multiple Arab states without waiting for Palestinian rejectionism to finish its eternal nap. He signed an executive order aimed at combating anti Semitism on college campuses by clarifying that discrimination against Jews can trigger Title VI protections. You can dislike Trump and still admit these things happened. That used to be called honesty. Now it is treated like a betrayal of the tribe. And that is the real issue. So many Jews on the left are not reacting to Trump the man. They are reacting to the Trump they were trained to see, the cartoon villain, the orange Hitler, the destroyer of democracy, the man so uniquely evil that even his good policies must somehow be bad, because admitting otherwise might cause a crack in the stained glass window of progressive certainty. It is comforting to believe your side is the side of goodness. It is comforting to believe the people you vote with are the compassionate ones, the educated ones, the morally evolved ones. Then you watch college students rip down hostage posters. You watch feminists go silent about Israeli women. You watch human rights activists chant for intifada. You watch Democratic politicians suddenly discover nuance when Jews are bleeding. And you realize something terrifying. Maybe the people who promised to protect everyone were only interested in protecting the approved victims. Jews, historically, do not stay approved for long. We are useful as symbols when we are dead, powerless, or conveniently liberal. But the moment we defend ourselves, the moment we refuse to play the role of trembling moral accessory, the applause stops. That is where Israel comes in. And that is why anti Zionism has become the great moral scam of our age. Valid criticism of Israel is normal. Israel is a country, not your bubby's brisket. It can be criticized. Its leaders can be criticized. Its policies can be debated. Jews debate Israel more before breakfast than most activists do in their entire kafia phase. But anti Zionism is different. Anti Zionism says the Jewish people alone do not have the right to sovereignty in their ancestral homeland. That is not foreign policy. That is the old sickness dressed up for polite company. And this is where Trump broke the script. He treated Israel not as a problem to be managed, but as an ally to be respected. He did not pretend that Jerusalem was some mysterious floating abstraction. He did not ask Jews to earn legitimacy by being more agreeable to people who want us gone. He did not build policy around the fantasy that peace comes from rewarding those who reject Israel's existence. That does not make him a saint. It makes him correct on some very important things. And adults should be able to say that. The tragedy is that many Jews cannot, not because they are stupid or bad, because ideology and tribal belonging are powerful. Nobody wants to admit they spent years clapping for people who would not cross the street to defend them when the mob came. But Jewish history is one long lesson in the danger of outsourcing your moral compass. We do not survive by being popular, we survive by being clear. So, no, I am not asking every Jew to become a Republican. I am not asking anyone to worship Trump. Jews do not do political messiahs. We have enough trouble agreeing on Kiddush wine. I am asking for honesty. If a president moves the embassy to Jerusalem, say it. If he recognizes the Golan Heights, say it. If he helps broker peace agreements between Israel and Arab states, say it. If he strengthens protections for Jewish students, say it. And if your ideology cannot allow you to acknowledge those facts because the wrong man did them, then maybe your ideology is not a moral framework. Maybe it is a cage. There is an old Jewish habit I love. We argue, we wrestle, we challenge, we ask questions until someone threatens to bring out dessert just to end the discussion. That is healthy, but don't try to change my mind, I won't listen, is not Jewish. That is not conviction. That is fear refusing to be questioned. A Jew should never be afraid of evidence. A Jew should never fear uncomfortable truth. We are the people of Sinai, Torah, Talmud, exile, return, argument, memory, and chutzpah. We do not build identity on refusing to listen. We build it on refusing to lie. So call Trump rude, call him chaotic, call him exhausting. I will not faint. But do not tell me he hates Israel and the Jews while the record says otherwise. Do not tell me he is the Antichrist unless you are prepared to explain why the Antichrist moved the embassy to Jerusalem. And please, for the love of all things kosher, do not tell me you will not listen, because that is not strength. That is fear refusing to be questioned. And Jews have survived too much history to let fear do our thinking. If you enjoy my writing, support me by buying my book, Screaming into the Void, available on paperback or Kindle on Amazon.com.